Publish or perish, publish or perish, publish or perish, publish or perish. Have you heard of the predicament of publish or perish? We in academia often talk about it in the context of evaluating job candidates and making decisions about promotions in higher education. If you do not publish, you perish, you evaporate, wasted, as they say in the underworld. And we usually hear critiques about this predicament, namely that academia is too preoccupied with quantitative aspects of publications rather than focusing on quality. However, if you want to land an academic career, you need to know the pros and cons of the predicament of publish and perish, and then publish a lot. I want to share some thoughts with you on the publish or perish predicament in the academic career. From time to time, I will lend my voice to guests who have something to say on an important topic. And today I lend my voice to Professor Paul M. Sutter, who is a research professor of astrophysics at the Institute for Advanced Computational Science at Stony Brook University. He is also a guest researcher at the Flatiron Institute in New York City. He is also an author, host, and speaker, and most importantly, he is, like me, a YouTuber professor. Look him up. Anyway, his piece on the publish or perish syndrome appeared in Undark magazine, and I encourage you to sign up for their interesting essays. Hello, I am Professor Gad Yair, and in my YouTube channel or my online course, Land an Academic Career, you will learn everything you need to know about academia and science careers. You get weekly tips, suggestions, and recommendations, along with general exposure to higher education trends. My online course, the link for which is below, goes deeper and takes a more practical approach. Join me for your journey to land your academic career. Anyway, today we have a guest talk on publish or perish. Professor Sutter, the floor is yours. I quote his long essay from Undark magazine for you. When I was a graduate student and later a postdoctoral researcher, I would ask senior scientists what I could do to best position myself for a tenure-track faculty position. Their response, repeated almost verbatim to a person, was deceptively simple: just keep writing papers. Publish or perish has become a mantra in academia, a tongue-in-cheek recognition of the sad state of academic affairs, and a not-so-subtle warning of the brutal expectations of the various gatekeepers of the profession. The words embody the irresistible pressure to publish as many papers as possible, as if it were the central, if not the sole measure of a researcher's merit. The more you publish, the more likely you will seemingly advance, get tenure, win grants, and gain accolades and chocolate. Scientists and others have been calling out the shortcomings of this narrow-minded approach for more than a decade. They have noted how the insatiable need to feed the academic beast with ever more papers pushes scientists to sacrifice quality for quantity, leading to rushed, shoddy, and even fraudulent research. They've explained how this pressure has led to the rise of predatory journals, which offer little to no barriers to publication for a price, for money, although for many scientists outside of mainstream research centers, these journals can be one of the only ways to gain recognition. And critics have also pointed out how publish or perish results in the gaming of the system, with scientists seeking to achieve as high a score as possible, measured by publication metrics such as age indices, ignoring the principle of scientific integrity in the process. Some of these same scientists have proposed concrete solutions and recommendations to prevent fraud and protect research integrity. Notable examples include the San Francisco Declaration on Research Assessment, in which signatories support avoiding mere journal rankings as the measure of research success, or the Hong Kong Principles, which, among other avenues to increase the integrity of science, encourage member institutions to employ a broader range of metrics for measuring success. Let me inject a note here. The last sentence included more than 50 words. If you want to be readable, use less. Use shorter sentences, better sentences, like the last two. Back to Professor Sutter. Yet here we are, years later, and nothing has changed much. Predatory journals still run rampant. Fraud is on the rise. Scientists remain suspicious of the integrity of their colleagues' work. And yep, you still need to publish to get ahead. A lot. While department chairs may argue that they have a holistic approach to hiring and promotion, their receipts can be a closely guarded secret, and only one American university has signed onto the Declaration of San Francisco. What is going on? I believe that progress in reforming the publication and advancement model in science has stalled because the vast majority of scientists are too entrenched in the current system to do anything about it. It's a trap of inertia that has locked incentive structures in place for everyone, from first-year graduate students to full professors. Although most of them mean well and would probably prefer a more just and sane reward model, the system, an entire hiring, promotion and award apparatus constructed around the locus of publish or perish, is just too big for any individual to fight. The senior scientists who advised me years ago to just keep writing papers, for example, were almost certainly giving their honest assessment. They were told that they needed to publish a lot of papers. They did, and they got jobs. They won their positions in the current system, and because the system worked for them, they naturally did not feel any tremendous urge to change how things work. Young scientists, on the other hand, typically want a different system and are willing to try new ideas. But they cannot change the system from within because they are too busy just trying to survive. They are told the rules of the game: publish more than your peers. And if they decide not to play by those rules, they will be passed over in faculty searches for peers who do and will not be promoted. And then there is the academic publishing machine, which brings in tens of billions of dollars in annual revenue and enjoys profit margins that would make an oil baron blush. They have little, if any, incentive to encourage scientists to publish less, as that would directly impact their bottom line, meaning less money. And so the calls for reform of the publish or perish model are met with resigned shrugs and exhausted repetition of "this is just the way it is." As a scientific community, we prioritize publication above all else because it is an easy and lazy way to filter out the rafts of applicants competing for seemingly every open position, grant and award. Ultimately, we need to recognize that this is an institutional issue operating at all levels, from grant funders to graduate students, and that the only way to solve this is through systemic reform, which takes both time and determination. There are some promising signs that science is moving in the right direction, albeit slowly. Some departments at some universities are beginning to embrace a holistic and transparent approach to hiring, counting cross-collaborations, outreach, and leadership elements. And institutions like Syracuse University, along with departments and programs within other universities, such as the City University of New York, deserve some credit for at least signing the San Francisco Declaration. There is a growing awareness, exemplified in papers, essays, conference splinter sessions, and online discussions, that publishing or perishing is a problem. The solution to the problem is simple but not easy. Universities should make their hiring decisions public and transparent, allowing applicants to know how they will be ranked and sorted before applying. More departments should endorse the San Francisco Declaration. Universities should award dramatically fewer PhDs every year, so there is less competition for the scarce open faculty positions, and so hiring committees need not only rely on simple metrics to filter candidates. Paul, where are you going? No. Community organizations, from professional societies to graduate student unions, need to pressure universities to broaden their definition of scientific success. But ultimately, publish or perish will only perish when we, the community of scientists, collectively change our minds and decide that we can, we should, and we will do better. Thank you very much, Professor Sutter, for this interesting position paper. I don't agree with you at all. I have a different take, more pragmatic. Candidates' files at the beginning of their career are quite similar. We read their papers, read their recommendations in depth, and argue for hours, for weeks, and only then do we decide. Therefore, the number of publications is not a single criterion, though it is better to have more paper than fewer publications. And secondly, when we publish, it is also a return to the public, and the more we publish, the more we give back to the public. And I'm not talking about recycling papers. True, when publish or perish becomes a recycling industry, then it is really a problem. But when every publication has its own point, its own merit, it is an important contribution. We will talk about these principles in a future talk. Until the next future talk, I am Professor Gad Yair.